Good morning. My name is Gary McAfee. I'm the HR recruiter for Comfort Windows and Comfort Manufacturing. And I'm here today with Aaron Wrench, the HR director for Comfort Windows and Comfort Manufacturing. And we wanted to talk briefly in regards to how we handled the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So Aaron, let's kind of jump back to the very start of the pandemic. First case in New York was reported as of March 1st, and within a couple of weeks' time, we had a full-blown pandemic. Tell us a little bit about what you were thinking at that time in regards to what we were going to have to do here at Comfort.
Well, it definitely was a whirlwind for sure. I don't think that anyone could ever be prepared for what took place in those days and weeks, and obviously the months ahead. But I think that it was very challenging because the information was coming in bits and pieces. We were hearing that we needed to start by reducing our workforce, and that went from a partial reduction of workforce to a full reduction of workforce in a matter of days, which obviously created a lot of challenges with trying to properly communicate that to employees. But at the same time, we recognized that these were different circumstances than anyone had ever been used to, and wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing for all of our employees as well as the community.
And as far as making decisions for the company, obviously you were communicating with the owners of the company to make probably some very tough decisions.
Yeah, those were probably some of the most difficult meetings that I think I've ever sat in my career, and I'm sure a lot of my counterparts out there across the state can certainly understand where I'm coming from. But those were some times that I'll never forget. Again, we were reviewing the information that was coming in. There was a lot of confusion in regards to the construction industry and whether you were listed as essential or non-essential. Ultimately, it came down to a decision being made based on the facts that we had at that time, and to be honest, just making the right decision for the employees, to make sure that all of our employees were safe, and also for the community, to make sure that we weren't putting any of our customers in a situation where we were sending someone out that maybe we shouldn't have been, based on the guidance that had been issued by the state. So really kind of boiled down to erring on the side of caution, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So that tough day came when we had to shut down the business for a period of time, but it didn't really come to a complete end. Not only did we have some customer business that had to be finished up, but also you had to immediately go into the mode of planning for what do we do next. Tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was really interesting, Gary. I mean, I can remember the day that we closed and reduced 100% of the workforce, and I can actually remember standing outside the back of the building that I'm in right now, and the owner's son, who's just a tremendous young man and a great asset to the organization. But I can remember standing outside with him when we made that call, and he literally was in tears, just at the enormity of the situation and everything that was taking place. But within a very short period of time after closing, we went into a totally separate mode. And what I would call that is really what was next, right? So we kept on a very small group of core people that were working from home and were communicating with one another. We were regularly having meetings and kind of talking about what's next. And the planning, I really feel like, was integral in us being able to bounce back as quickly as we did, because we started taking a look at, what is our plan going to be for returning to the workplace, even before the state issued the guidance saying in order to reopen, you had to have this plan in place. We had started those conversations early on, talking about the safety of our employees, talking about, once they give us the green light to be able to start bringing people back, what does that look like? We knew that wouldn't be feasible to bring 400 plus employees back in all at once after we had been going through this. So What's the safest way to handle that? Again, I keep saying, and because it's so important, but not only for our employees, but also for our customers. There was a lot at stake for us returning and being able to do so safely.
And of course, all that planning really allowed us to open or reopen as soon as we possibly could. And that happened about mid-May. Of course, we were in a very unique situation because we have 5 locations across the state, 4 service areas from Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Albany, as well as our manufacturing facility here in Syracuse. So that certainly presented challenges because each region of the state was being affected differently by the virus. Talk a little bit about what we had to go through in terms of opening the various different locations in the different cities.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really very proud of from the HR team is the communication that we had to our employees from the day that the full closure took place all the way to the day prior to reopening. Was really daily communication to our employees using our HR portal and being able to send out news updates to our employees. We tackled everything from the ever-changing world of New York unemployment as we knew it to the pandemic pay and the various paperwork that needed to be filled out on the part of the employees to the we're encountering with trying to get in contact with the state with questions relating to unemployment. Myself and other individuals were contacting the unemployment folks on their behalf to try to work through some of those challenges. We were sending out updates to let them know, what's the state communicating? How does this impact you? We may have watched a news story and not really understood the full impact that would have on Comfort. So my goal during that time frame was to really make sure that the employees were getting the company side of it and understanding not just what they were seeing on their TV or their radio, but also understanding what impact would that have on them as well as their job with Comfort. And that I really feel like helped us almost more than anything to be able to have that technology. And across all of our locations, each location was a little bit different, and some could return earlier than others, and some had to wait a little bit longer. But it really was tremendous, and it meant a lot to be able to hear from employees the gratitude that they had, quite honestly. For being able to be in the know, so to speak, and just understand how it was impacting their jobs, their families during this time, and ultimately be able to return them and return everyone in a very safe and efficient manner.
I think another key to our success with that, and I can certainly speak to this directly, is the very comprehensive manual that we put together for the reopening and the return to work. I know that the state had put out some basic guidelines, but under your guidance, I think we really took it one step further as far as covering every possible scenario that could have come up during this, and really addressed it and made that reference available to all of the employees to help them to understand this better as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't think that I've ever sat down and analyzed every aspect of a company before to that degree. But I can still remember my wife and kids laughing at me as I was home, and I had the giant flip chart paper that had I call it the biggest sticky notes in the world, but I had them literally all over the living room, and I was just going back and forth thinking through every possible scenario, whether it was for our production team, the group of installers that are showing up, how are we going to handle them coming in the morning? Do we need to stagger shifts? Do we need to stage product to be loaded into trucks and all that? All the way from that to the office side. How do we handle the office employees coming back, and the sanitization procedures, and it just was so massive. And I guess it could have been overwhelming, but I think that handling it in a methodical manner and involving the tremendous team of people that that we have, and working through all those details, everything got ironed out. We ended up with a very large plan, yes, but again, we did a good job of communicating that out to employees and getting their feedback and listening to their concerns, and kind of being able to walk through it. And at the end of the day, I was really happy to be able to see employees clocking in every day and having to answer that health acknowledgement. One of the things that, prior to acknowledging that they were okay to come into work each day, they were also saying how comfortable they feel coming into work. And I think that that's almost just as important as the health aspect of it, to understand, are you creating an environment where your employees feel safe? And I'm very proud of the fact that we consistently saw those numbers really through the roof, and that our employees felt confident in coming into work, even though we're not necessarily in an environment where that's an easy thing to do, but you just had to adapt to the circumstances and make it work.
Sure. And I think we really have a unique situation here in that we almost have three different types of businesses between Comfort Windows and Comfort Manufacturing, because of course we have our field personnel who are out there, but then we also have office personnel, and then we have a manufacturing facility. So three really different types of businesses that we had to apply the various different policies to. So again, I think that was a unique situation for us that we were able to handle very well. So at this point, it's then back to business. We're getting things up and running again. And Comfort Windows, Comfort Manufacturing certainly has a very strong reputation in the community. So it was very important for us at this point to maintain that. In fact, again, another uniqueness of our business is not only do we have customers coming here to our showroom, but we have to go and conduct business within people's houses. So we really had to make certain that all of our policies not only reflected our business locations, but it also had to take into consideration the fact that we were in somebody's own home, and we had to respect whatever their rules were for their particular homes as well. Maybe discuss a little bit more about how we handled that situation.
Definitely one of the most challenging aspects of everything that we encountered, because there's a great deal of responsibility, as you mentioned, to make sure that the people that are showing up at the customer's home are following all the guidelines, and are making sure that they're sanitizing after themselves, and they're wearing the masks, and they're socially distancing, and all those things that are so key to being able to keep this virus under control. But at the same time, also making sure that our employees understand that we have to expect that our customers are following certain guidelines as well to make sure that they are safe also. So I feel like the employees had the knowledge that we gave them in advance to be prepared for those situations, to tactfully speak to the customers and let them know that we really would appreciate a little bit of space maybe at certain times, or maybe a mask to be worn if we are going to be in the house and in a little bit closer contact with them. And I think what we found was that really went a long way. And a lot of that just came down to the education of what we gave to the employees, so that they understood how to deal with those situations when they came up. But at the same time, it was an ever-changing thing. We were dealing with updates regularly from the CDC that we were monitoring, the health department for New York, and just making sure on a daily basis that we were maintaining compliant, and that we were able to give our employees the most up-to-date information.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned a number of times as far as our need to make sure that we were protecting our employees at all times. And of course, very important to us within the HR function was managing the various federal and state programs such as the FFCRA. the New York COVID paid sick leave, and doing all the record keeping of that and communicating with our employees who may be coming down with symptoms or whatever. Can you talk a little bit more about our processes there?
Yeah, I don't think that myself or anyone else on this team ever thought that we would be in the position that we have been over the past year, or close to a year of coming back, but of trying to navigate through employees with various medical conditions and having to kind of help and guide them through that process of getting to a physician and to take care of themselves. But something that you had to adapt to, because it's a great responsibility to make sure that you're keeping them safe and you're keeping everyone else safe. And I feel like, one of the reasons why as a company we have really thrived through this adversary is the fact that, we always put the safety first, whether it came to our employees or to our customers. And I think that really showed through to people. Our employees, I know, appreciated it and became even more dedicated than they ever were before. And I think that our customers definitely recognized it, as they have previously, knowing the kind of company that we are in the community. But I really feel like even more so that showed through, and it created a level of dedication on part of our employees as well as customers to give us the opportunity to thrive even more. And Gary, you've been involved with this from the beginning as well, and that there's been some very difficult times going through this. Mm-hmm. I've dealt with employees who lost a mother, who lost a brother, who lost an aunt or an uncle or another family member or a friend, or the list goes on and on. Sure. That's something that we never took lightly. And I think that that's really, really very important, because each time something like this came up, even though you may have heard it before of an employee who contacted a manager in Buffalo or a manager in Albany and they were calling out sick, or they weren't able to answer the daily health attestation, or whatever the circumstance may have been, it could have been very easy, I think, for us to just kind of group all those individuals into one area and handle them all the same. But I really believe that by taking each individual case and walking through it very carefully, very delicately, I really think that we avoided possible disaster. And it's to be honest with you, it really is very, very humbling for me personally to think back on that and to be able to be proud of what we accomplished, and to hear those employees come back and say, I really appreciate how you guys dealt with that. I appreciate you taking the time to really explain all the different options that were, whether it was under the government program or whether it was something that Comfort was doing or whatever the case may be, because every one of those employees was unique, individual. They're not a number. They weren't just one more case of possible exposure to COVID or whatever the case may be. It was unique to them, and it was unique to their family, and it was a difficult time that they were going through. And so, again, it goes back to, I think, the level of dedication that we've seen come back to us from our employees because of the way that was handled. And it's the only way it should have been handled. I really do firmly believe that. And it's something that you can be proud of, which is a real good thing.
Absolutely, I agree. Okay, so here we are just over a year later. We're returning to normal. What have we learned, I guess, over this year and what we've gone through as far as, any future crises we may face, or the rolling out right now of loosening of requirements and trying to get back to normal? What are your thoughts there?
I think what we learned is that as a company, we can do anything that we need to do in order to be able to survive, that we can pull together as a group. We always knew we had a very strong group of people, right? Prior to this happening, we celebrated our 40th anniversary. We were out as a very large group locally, celebrating that, playing volleyball with one another, you know, having great food and time together and really celebrating what we've accomplished in 40 years. And little did we know that right around the corner would be this pandemic and what we now know as COVID or COVID-19. And so what it's taught us is that we are resilient. We can band together. We can communicate with each other. We can explain the importance of why we're doing things a certain way. We can handle people's concerns. You know, we, like many companies, I'm sure, across the state and across the country, had employees that were concerned that we were telling them, you have to wear a mask. It's not an option. In order to be employed, you need to wear a mask, unless, of course, there's some sort of a medical reason that we would need to take into account. But 99% of the time, you know, just saying, well, you know, I don't like being told what to do, it just wasn't an option anymore, right? But it's understanding that we were able to take those concerns and talk it through and work together as a group. And we always knew we had a strong team, like I said. But now we know that we can accomplish anything. And we've got a tremendous group of people. And I think that, you know this better than anyone as recruiting new people. I'm sure that you're looking at people a little bit differently now before you add them to this team, because you know the folks that we have in place. And it's a matter of finding people that that embody those core values that we have and are able to come in and be an addition that, you know we will be proud of and can work together with the rest of the team. So it's a great opportunity to be able to to speak to the Better Business Bureau and to have a chance at being part of the discussions that are coming up. We'd love to be part of that as an employer in the area. And Gary, I can't thank you enough for everything that you did over the last months. We're over a year now, which is amazing to think back on. It's almost surreal. But it's been a heck of a ride, my friend. And we're still going. It's not over yet. We still have to, get across the finish line with the vaccines and making sure that all the employees are still sticking to what we've been doing for so long. But we are close, and we can feel it. And boy, we just want to be there for sure.
Well, I, for one, can certainly say that I'm very proud of how we've handled this entire situation, and certainly under your leadership to do so. And it makes it much easier for me in my position of recruiter to represent Comfort Windows and Comfort Manufacturing, having experienced this and coming through it as successfully as we have. So it certainly makes it easier for me to represent the company when we can do such a fine job with this. So, Aaron, I'd like to thank you for taking time to go through this, and look forward to many more years of success here. Thank you very much.
Comfort.
You got it. Thank you.